Hebden Bridge Picture House and Hebden Bridge Film Festival are delighted to welcome Maxine Peake and Nicole Taylor in conversation with Louise Wadley. Thank you.
We're so excited to have two people on stage, such amazing body of work. I don't know how to really wrangle this, but I was going to say, we've just seen Wild Rose. How good was that? Nicole, I'm going to jump right in because I know that the clock watches are going to be on us, and that's fair enough. One of the things that I really wanted to ask you was, what brought this about? What is this thing that came out of you?
Well, it's born of my lifelong obsession with country music. I'm also from Glasgow. I also wanted to get the hell out of there once upon a time. I can't sing for shit, so it's not autobiographical at all. But I guess this character, Rosalind Harlan, just roared into my mind about 10 years ago, just chatting away. And although I've written millions of drafts of this script in the intervening years, who she was and what she had to say didn't really change from draft to draft and year to year. She just popped fully formed into my head. And I guess she's got the same relationship with country music as I have, which is just, I've used this line a few times now and it's getting old, but I'm going to wheel it out one more time, which is it's a suppository for the emotionally constipated. It just, as Rosalind said, you know, it gets what's in there out. And, you know, it's popular places like Glasgow for a reason, you know, where people are not brilliant at knowing how they feel or expressing how they feel. I mean, that's me, man. That's what country music does for me. So I wanted to write a character who had that relationship with the music.
And so do you cry shamelessly when you're singing along to big country and western songs suddenly?
Country and western? I don't know if I cry, but I experience deep catharsis, yeah.
You know, I think one of the things that is often forgotten is that there's no film without the writer. You know, we often celebrate, you know, the directors and all that sort of thing. And one of the things we're excited about here at the film festival is to celebrate all the different crafts. What is it that made you want to become a writer? Because I think rumour has it that you weren't a writer to start with. You did some other things. Do you want to tell us a little bit how you made your journey into that?
Yeah, I was a very miserable, frustrated solicitor until I was 27. I always knew that I wanted to write. I didn't know there was a thing called screenwriting. I thought I wanted to write a novel. But I quit law the day I qualified, much to my parents' displeasure. And a mate had won a copy of Final Draft, the screenwriting software, in a film quiz, and she gave it to me. And as soon as I started typing in that format, I just, first of all, it makes it look professional, even if you're writing a bunch of shit. It's in like Courier, Prime, it's amazing. But also, just dialogue came really naturally to me. My prose was leaden and shit. I'd already been trying to write some short stories and things. But once I found screenwriting, I think also being from Glasgow, the way people talk, it's the same. I've noticed every time I come anywhere in Yorkshire, just people are funny and they reveal themselves without knowing that they're revealing themselves. And just the subtext is always there and always fascinating. So anyway, screenwriting, I found it in that way, and it took me a long time to get the courage to try and write, but once I got started it sort of happened quite quickly, and yeah, I still can't believe it. I get to do it because I still love it so much.
Well, I'm very glad. I know there's a bit of conveyancing not being done that you are. It's really fabulous. Look, there's so many disaffected lawyers who are actually creatives now, and the law thing sort of brings me to you, Maxine, because some of people will know that you did that series Silk, obviously, where you had to be a barrister.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking about when I was walking along today was there are so many tentacles that attach us to Maxine Peake in some way. And I don't mean that.
I don't like the sound of that.
I know. Sorry, that sounds really weird. But I was just thinking, so obviously Nicole didn't just write Wild Rose, she wrote Three Girls, which most of you will know. Obviously the Rochdale story, and clearly the big connection is that Maxine played Sarah Rowbotham, who is in the audience tonight. I think it's really important to give due credit where it's due. So that's an incredible pleasure for me to have you here, Sarah. But Maxine, so for you, doing Time Away, this was your first time as a director of film?
Yeah, I'd done a music video for a friend, Simon Aldred, who's band Cherry Ghost, and I'd written and directed a Guardian did these Brexit monologues. But yeah, this was the first time that I directed a film. Yeah, first time. So it was I'm not saying. You're very kind.
They are kind at Head to Bridge.
Or drunk. Probably both. A bit of both.
So I wonder, is this something we're going to see more of?
I hope so. You know, it was a big learning curve, and I've got a lot to learn. I'm always a bit wary of actors who go, oh, I can act now, so therefore I can write, therefore I can direct. It doesn't work like that. And I know I was in a privileged position where people went, okay, we'll take a punt on you, and the BFI gave us some money to make Time Away as a taster for a feature that somebody had approached me to direct. But yeah, I'd love to do more of it. Really would. I hate that word buzz. Such a buzz.
There's a lot of buzz in town, so we don't mind it.
But it was really, it was just really exciting. And even there was times when I'm going, okay, this is probably not going the way I wanted it to or whatever, but it was just really exciting to be behind the camera. And as I was saying to you, in the pub next door, just having a little bit more control as an actor, because I think people think actors have control, and actually really we don't have that much. So not that I'm a control freak, but there was something about having a wider overview, your vision on it, because as an actor you can give what you want to give, but you're at the mercy of an editor, a director, so yeah.
So tell us, what was it about that story, and this is what you're developing into a feature? What is it about?
Well, to be honest, initially somebody got in touch and said, look, we've got this script, and Katie Winpenny, and I knew Katie years ago. We worked together in theatre, and Katie's got the script, and she just has got an idea that you'd be a really good director for it. And I said, well, I've never directed anything that's a little bit mad, but as most things, I think you just say yes, and then take the consequences later. But I just loved, because Time Away, Katie wrote that really quickly. BFI went, Katie's script, Caravan, is about this couple when they're in the 70s. So it's where this story takes them to. And they said, we need a short. So Katie went, okay, I'm going to write a short, and it's going to be, when the story begins. So she did it in, a couple of days. So, and then we went off and shot that. But for me, I know it's not, it's very clear, I think, in the film, but it is about a couple coming to terms with a child who is a thalidomide survivor. And for me, it just felt one of those stories that has been forgotten in some ways. There's a generation of people who don't understand, and it's still something that's ongoing. We've had an anniversary recently, and it's very complex, and it's affected a lot of people, and we've got these amazing survivors, and it just felt, it's like with Three Girls, there's just stories out there that you want to attach themselves to, obviously because they're amazingly written, and you don't get many scripts like that come along that like Three Girls, you really don't. But then the stories that, you just sort of going to go, if I can tell them. I sort of think that I'd like to say I'm a storyteller more than anything, an actor or a director or a writer. You go, what are you? Well, a storyteller. I'm not saying I'm good at any of them particularly, but I'll just lump them all in a row. No, but you know what I mean. Anyway, blah blah. Sorry.
So I wanted to really sort of unpick a little bit of things. One of the things I wanted to talk about a little bit was Three Girls, a really complex, incredibly multi-layered story that had to be made into a 3-part series. Is that right? It was 3 parts. Was that a big challenge?
Yes, but can I just say that because you attached yourself to it so early, that helped us so much to get it made, because you can imagine it's a very difficult thing to pitch, and took years to research. But because you said you were going to do it really early on, then that gave the decision makers so much confidence to just go with us through the period of uncertainty where there were no scripts or anything. So thank you again for that.
Thank you. But I couldn't, I'm not, it's not like, but I couldn't say no. You don't get scripts like that. You don't, they come along once in a blue moon that you think, this is about, the most important thing was the story. You read things and you go, it might not on paper be the biggest part, it might not, but that's not what it's about. It's about going, this story needs to be told, and if it's been told in this way, so expertly, and how you put all that into 3 episodes. So many people's lives, but so clearly and precisely, and it had such a massive effect on people who watched it. I still get people now who go, 3 girls, 3, nothing. I mean, even dinner ladies now, they don't even say dinner ladies anymore. It's 3 girls, and they want to talk about the effect that it had on them, how it changed their views, and I think that's what brilliant television does, and we need more of it,
Don't we? I think Maxine's touched on that. I do feel like it was one of the most important television programs I'd seen for a long time, and I mean that in the sense that here is a story that was so difficult, it was hidden, and people put a lot of effort into stopping it being told. Did you feel a lot of responsibility?
Well, first of all, I said no for the same reason. I just wanted to get away from it because I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't want it to be true. So I was behaving in the way that so many people behaved. And I turned it down a fair few times. I didn't have the bottle. I just didn't know how to approach it. And I was just turning my head away like everyone else did. And then my partner, who's a journalist, challenged me on my kind of pious reasons why I thought it wasn't an appropriate subject for drama, and just call bullshit. And then I realised I was just scared, and I just had to do it, and I didn't do anything else for 3 years. I just had my head down. I was going up and down to Rochdale, and I would never be more proud of any work than 3 girls. And all of us, we all had the same approach, didn't we? We just really, really went for it, and I was never out of Sarah's living room. And, it was...
I think what comes across is the authenticity in that incredible amount of preparation ends up being this incredibly crafted piece because you've been in it so long, you can distill something. As a writer, do you feel like, I feel like often what you're dealing with as a writer is fear, quite often about things, and it feels like that's almost been like a journey manifested for you.
Yeah, that's how I start most things, feeling that I can't do it, and that's kind of how I know that I should do it. Right. But with this, I just had so much rubbish in my head that in the end helped me write it. Like when I went up there, I was so surprised by certain things about the girls that made me realise if you're surprised, then you've gone up there with lots of judgments. Now, where did you get those judgments from? And if you've got these judgments, then the audience is going to have these judgments as well. So use that. People had so many assumptions about the families, and so did I, because I was just surprised. Like, this guy, there's a dad in that house. He's really, really smart. He had a job. All this stuff that I had no business having prior notions about. And I just thought, right, so is the rest of the country, and that's one of the reasons why this has happened. So, right to that.
Yeah, I think the best drama is the stuff that really challenges us without saying I'm challenging you, and I think that's what was so interesting about that series, because exactly that, we showed a lot of people that we probably made assumptions about, and you allowed us to. And I think what was extraordinary, I remember screaming at the screen when your character is kind of not being listened to and is like so frustrated because she's been trying to say, and I realised I was feeling all those things. So you did take us on a journey, and you did sort of make us feel like her,
But then I had the privilege of going meeting Robotham up there. Again, I've been in a living room a few times as well. But it all came together. I remember meeting Sarah and going, oh wow, yeah, you just meet. I remember getting quite emotional. I don't know whether I'll tell her this, but when I first saw her, I went, oh yeah, you get an energy off somebody. And then the writing, I'm meeting Sarah, and I know Sarah said a lot of it was condensed, and a lot of it was lots of people's stories, who she worked with were put into her story. But yeah, and it's one of those jobs as well that happens very rarely, that you do a job and it continues on. We're still in contact. We're still, you meet these. I think my job, I feel very blessed because I do meet some amazing people, and you continue those friendships and contact. And I think what other job will you step into other people's lives, and actually it's not just about the job. They become people then who you go and will be in your life hopefully for a long time. So it's. Yeah, I've met usually amazing women, if I'm honest. But I've, because that's who I've played. But I've met some extraordinary women along the way, and I've been able now to be called friends. So
I think it's so important, those creative relationships. We should probably open it up. I'm sure a lot of people have had questions. If you haven't, it's very disappointing because you'll have to hear me ask another question. Oh my God, I see a hand already. We've got roving mics, so do make sure that you.
Can you put your hands up now? Because we've probably got time for only 4 or 5 questions.
If you've got your voting slip, you can wave it.
Okay, I'm coming here, and then the next question we'll take is from the balcony, if anyone wants to prepare themselves.
Nicole, congratulations on Wild Rose. I've just been bawling my eyes out for about the last hour. It was just incredible. Can you talk about Jessie Buckley and how you found her and how you knew she could sing? And it's incredible casting.
Oh, thank God for Jessie Buckley. Nothing to do with me. This script, it's taken me had this idea nearly 10 years ago, and this script was kicking about for a long time. And how do we a bit of buzz? Didn't have a director. Whenever someone took an interest in it, it was impossible to find somebody who could sing that well. And for me, there was just no point of making this unless you had somebody with that level of talent, because you're just not going to believe that. You're not going to believe that character. Anyway, Tom Harper got the script, and on the first page, he was like, yeah, this is Jessie Buckley, because they just worked together on War and Peace. And as soon as I walked into the room with Jessie, and do you know what's so weird? He sent me her casting tape, and she was singing the song that you guys sang tonight, the Janis Joplin song. No way. So I know it's really creepy. I just WhatsApped her and told her that. It's just so weird. So Jessie, I just feel like, although I've been tinkering away on the script forever, really the beginning of this film actually getting made was Tom having the idea for Jessie, and everything just went so smoothly from that moment on.
Got another question?
Anyone upstairs? B, can you see any hands?
Are you being very, very quiet, Hebden
I'm just
Bridge?
checking the balcony first. Don't want to exclude them. Okay, anyone in the stalls?
Yes, down here at the front.
Okay, I'll just head here, and then we'll take that one next. Thanks.
Okay, no worries. The film was amazing. I mean, 10 years ago, I would have watched that with different eyes, but now I have kids. It's kind of like pulling on my strings all the time. It used to be pretty hard back in the days. But this was a question to Maxine. Your short just dragged me in from the very first moment. And it reminded me, I don't know if you've come across Martin Parr, the photographer. The imagery immediately reminded you of his kind of images that have drawn me in. It's just life. What influenced you in regards to your cinematographer?
Yeah, probably. And you'll go, really? I was actually at Roy Anderson films. And there's something about the space, how he uses it, and yeah, I think that his colour palette, and that I was watching quite a lot of his stuff before. Yeah, so that was my sort of influence. But yeah, I mean, that's amazing if you see Martin Parr influence there, because I think he's fabulous. But yeah, but it was actually Roy Anderson sort of style of, yeah, it's quite expansive, and vistas and shots. So yeah. Thank you.
Coming down the front.
Hello, loved your film, brilliant. A question to Nicole. Could you describe a bit more about your writing process? If you have
Fear.
One. Your writing process.
Self-flagellation. My writing process. Well, before I had a kid, I had a room. Then I had a kid and I don't have a room anymore. So then I just like walked the streets and cafes and all that, and that didn't work at all. I'm emphasizing the environment, but I find the environment really important. Now I've got a desk and a co-work space, which is also quite useless. It's good because it's not too depressing because there's other people around, but I have to wear noise-cancelling headphones the whole time. I suppose if I have a process, it's I don't like to start writing until I feel the character. I know the character so well, and then it feels like they're just writing themselves. Then I'm just transcribing what they have to say. If I start trying to write too soon, then the whole thing feels phony to me because I don't know what they would. I don't know them well enough to know what they would do or would say. So I do tons and tons of thinking, or research, or other avoidance before really getting down to them. And then it should feel like fairly. The first draft should feel kind of like the vomit draft. Just get anything down, and then once you've got 60 pages, you print it off and see what the hell's going on there and what it's about, and then. When I got into this, I didn't have any training or anything, and people would talk about Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I didn't have a clue what they were talking about. But over the years, just with practice, I sort of now know that there's like rhythms and drama and where the turns should be and that sort of thing. So it's getting a little bit easier in that sense that I used to not know anything about structure, and now I do just through sheer repetition. But usually my process is just about where am I going to work today? Where am I going to be least disrupted? Yeah.
So character is where it comes from for you?
Entirely, yeah.
Are there any brave and inquisitive souls in the balcony? This is your last chance to stick your hand up.
Have
and
you
have the
all
microphone
had too
to
much
you.
to drink that you're actually not?
Do you think
Good
they
to ask.
hid up there on purpose? Anyone, stick your hand high.
Questions,
I have
all done them.
one down here. Any more down here? 2, 3. How are we doing? We're at 10:25.
Okay, let's go. Let's do a couple.
No, it's not me. It's that the after party's starting without us. So Okay, I'll come to the front first.
When you think about doing your feature film, because I'm really addicted, I really need to know what's happening next with your short film.
Oh, right, yeah. So Katie Wimpenny, who wrote the short, has written, the feature's written. It's with the BFI at the moment. Going through script, it's going through script development. So, yeah, we're sort of fingers crossed we're looking at shooting in spring next year. But, yeah, you know what it's like. Well, it's going to be north. It's going to be in Yorkshire, but I'm looking North Yorkshire. Yeah. But it's still Yorkshire, it's not Lancashire, although, I mean, it doesn't matter, I'm on the wrong side of the Pennines, that's all right, I can live with that.
Well, you just only have to go down to Tobberden where the line is through the town hall.
Ah.
Yeah, War of the Roses is not over.
No, yeah, God no. It's going to be a fight later.
Oh, we had another question, I think.
Where were my other 2 original hands? Because that's where I want to go. Now I'm confused because there's 3. Were you an original? Go on, Mr. Tansey. Go on.
Thanks. Nicole, great film. You said you had 10 years doing this. Did the ending change in that 10 years? Was there any substantial? You said you tweaked it, but did you change the framing of it? It was a kind of redemptive soul at the end.
Such a good question, because I really struggle with how to end it. And partly because I think I've drawn quite a lot from my own relationship with my mum, and my own arc with her hadn't ended for a lot of those years. But also, I think, legitimately, I didn't know how to end it because the whole premise of the film is what should we want for this girl? So ultimately, I struggled with, well, where should we leave her? But then I went to Nashville for the first time, and I'd never gone before, and I think I'd almost avoided it, because how could it live up to my overblown expectations? And it was like the most amazing 4 days of my life, but I knew, as a Glaswegian person who always had this fantasy that I should have been born in America, and it's like, oh my God, I've never felt more Glaswegian. The place is, both sacred and profane. It's like amazing and ridiculous. And if Rosalind would go there, I just knew that all she wanted was a wee taste of it. She just wanted to be allowed to want what she wanted. But having been given that opportunity, I think she would know that she's not from there, and if she's going to create anything, she would have to come back to Glasgow and, you know, draw from that well. And I think that also kind of speaks to my own, you know, journey away from Glasgow and trying to cut myself off from that and, you know, become a different person and move to London and change my accent and be a complete dickhead. But ultimately, you know, whatever you feel about your background, it's so, it's like hacking off your own arm. It's completely, you know, you have to at some point, if you're going to be a coherent person or, you know, write a screenplay or write a song or whatever, you're going to have to find some way of making peace with that. So when I went to Nashville, I understood that Rosalind would definitely be coming back to Glasgow, and then it just out of shot by then.
Fantastic answer.
How many
I'm
do
going
you
to
want
hold one thing in there. Maxine, have you hacked off your own arms, or are you still holding on to your...
What do you mean for...
She's talking about, you know, going away from where you...
Yeah, well, I've been away, but I'm back. Yeah, I don't think you ever... It's right, you never leave, and I think you do have to... It is a part... It's a big part of you. It's a big part of you creatively. I think, for me, you've got to be honest to yourself before you can put yourself honestly in anybody else's shoes. I'm not saying all actors and creatives work like that, but that's what works for me. You know, and yeah, I mean, I know being, you know, Northern, and you get this, the professional Northern, blah blah blah, and you know, I'm proud. She's so proud to be. I'm just Northern. It's where I'm from. Why should I be? I'm not ashamed of it. It's just who you are, isn't it? You know. Pardon? Yeah.
One more question, I think.
And Scots as well. You know, just going up that way, north of Watford.
We have a question from the balcony, and I feel we should take it because there's 200 of them up there, and they haven't said anything yet. So.
Thanks for acknowledging. This is probably more for Maxine than Nicole, but weigh in. How important do you think institutions like this and BFI and Film Hub North and, you know, like local institutions, like how important do you think being, like you say, from the North, and how it's important in filmmaking, how important is it for you as a creative to support that, or for them to support you?
I think it's really important, but for me, it's about visibility, isn't it? So there's film festivals like this. It's about making it, people feel it's for them. It's about breaking down boundaries. It's about being able to feel accepted. It's being able to come to a film festival and see an amazing film like this, being able to, you know, listen to a top writer like Nicole speak and get the inspiration. You know, it felt, when I was growing up, those things were a million miles away. It all happened in London, you know what I mean, or exclusive places in Manchester. And I think the more we get out and we break down those boundaries, because training's difficult, whether it's acting, you know, you want to go to film school, you want to go writing university, any job you want to do now, if you want higher education, it's pretty impossible. So it's about ripping up the fences, isn't it, and letting everybody come in if they want to come in. I don't know, yeah.
I think that's a great way to end, actually. I think we need to say thank you to our two guests, Nicole Taylor. And I think we have to say thank you to our patron, Maxine Peake.
And thank you.